for damn sure.
Well, I encourage them to step forward and allow you to help you out putting it together.
Well, that's the problem.
Nobody has to wait for somebody else to do it. Somebody has to step forward.
Well, somebody has to do the physicals of putting it together. I just don't have time.
I agree.
I walk in here, I get inundated. I just get buried.
Ask on your show. Looking for a volunteer, part of the herd.
There you go. That might work.
Doesn't cost anything.
All right, let's see what I can do here if I can get this thing going. This. Good afternoon, folks. This is Clark with the Herd coming live from Las Vegas, Nevada, in America. We still have hope, folks. After last night's debate, I think America's going to be coming back. We certainly exposed one of the biggest problems we have in this country, and that is the despicable Main Street media that has been lying to us for years and years and years. And I think they were exposed last night in spades, and I couldn't be happier about it. The despicability of the questions, the setup, the whole agenda of the left progressive media controlling the media is just, it's out of bounds. It's out of bounds, and it needs to stop. Anyways, joining me today is our special guest, DeDe, who's been here before with us, and her gorgeousness is always welcome here at the table. And
well, thank
hello,
you.
DeDe.
How are you, Clark? Hi,
Fine.
Las Vegas. How's
Fine.
everybody?
We're just waiting to see what you have to bring us up to date on. I know you were tuned into the debate last night, I'm sure. Probably a front row seat somewheres.
Yes, absolutely. I went by the offices of Americans for Prosperity, and it was very interesting to see the debate last night, and to see the Republican candidates, come together for once and kick back also.
They were acting all as a very together type, organized group of people that were all on the same team in a way. I was impressed. I was so overwhelmingly impressed. All the whatever, I don't think they ever really had any animosity towards one another. I think they were doing the games of running against people and whatever, and that's only natural. But you could see that these people, anyone on that stage, like Huckabee said, could be president of the United States, and any one of them is more qualified than Hillary Clinton.
Well, it's really sad that that the United States on the Democratic end has, the only candidates that they have are communist and a socialist. It's really unfortunate that there's not a choice on that end. It was very well established last night by Marco Rubio, that Hillary was a liar, and yet the media called it her best week. Yeah, that was very well said.
Oh,
yeah, that was very well said.
Couldn't be said any better.
And the truth, a fact. So it was good to see them all cry out for these ridiculous moderators that they had with the trivial questions that are of absolutely no interest to the American people.
That was brought home. I don't think it could have been any clearer. I think hopefully half of this country that's been kind of brainwashed over the last decades could see that and understand what they were watching. If they were even watching, I'm sure a lot of people were watching.
I haven't seen the numbers of the ratings last night, have you?
But they were competing with the World Series, I know that.
Yes,
and so, but
Kansas City, 2 games.
Even with that time frame and that little slot that they had, they were getting over $250,000, I understand, for a 30-second ad.
That's right.
So they anticipated somebody watching, that's for sure.
Well, remember that they started out and they wanted the debate to last for 3 hours, and we already had gone through that, and frankly, it was just too extensive and too tiring, and television is not made for that. So it was a good thing that Trump and Ben Carson got together and put a kibosh on that, which Trump brought up, and this nut John Harwood, flatly outlied and said that that wasn't true, when in fact everyone knows that it had been true.
Well, I think there was no doubt, at least if you have a brain in your head, that you could see blatantly expose the hypocrisy and the agenda of the left-controlled media. That is the biggest PAC going, as Marco Rubio declared. Hillary's PAC is the mainstream media, is the biggest one out there.
Yeah, so tell me, who do you think did well?
I think everybody on the stage did great. I think Bush probably had, if you had to pick somebody that didn't do as great, would be Bush, because of the little thing there, mix up with Rubio and what he was trying to portray there. Other than that, every single one of them, without any, was just, they were all fantastic. All the little back and forth or whatever was gone out the window. And I think they rightfully exposed the media for what they are. They gave each other compliments. Mike Huckabee said, anybody, I think he said anybody on the stage could be president, but he did kind of call out Donald Trump that on any given day and twice on Sunday, he would be way better than any Hillary Clinton.
Agreed.
And they were all friendly. If you watch, I tried to see what was going on at the end of the debate or during breaks to see who was talking to who and everything. And it looked like it was just the end of a little get-together party. They were all smiling at one another. Rubio was smiling at Trump. And I mean, it was a fantastic show. I mean, they're all together. They really want to straighten this country out. Pick one.
That's right, yeah.
I think Trump's still the best because he's not corruptible. The special interests are not going to get to that guy. To me, that's number one. That is the most important issue. I agree
with you on that. That's a new thing for a president in this country, and I think it's a very important thing that he cannot be bought. Yeah, that he is self-financed, and that there are no interest group, no lobbies, no PACs, and he has come out and said it publicly to people. So that they don't vote when someone comes out of left field and says that it's a Trump PAC and asks for money, so that people don't get taken. And that's an extraordinary thing in our elections.
It's absolutely, that's why he will never not be number one in my book. But any one of the other ones on the stage will be way better than what we've had for the last 7 years. There's no comparison. Way better than any of the five that we saw on the Win stage the other day here in Las Vegas. They were pathetic compared to these class individuals that were on stage the other night. The difference was just staggering.
However, at this point, Clark, I think that there are some candidates that need to step out. There's just no point to them continuing. Seriously, I understand that, as long as the money's there, some of them will continue. But it's about time for some of those to drop out. Who do you think, in your opinion, would be in that category?
Well, the four that weren't there last night on whatever the round was or whatever they called the pre-party, they need to go.
The pre-happy hour.
The pre-happy hour party. And then I would say Christie was very good last night, but you've been overpowered on that stage by some individuals that just have an agenda that I think is so important for this country right now. I'm not saying that Christie would be subject to special interest, although I kind of tend to think that he probably would be, but I'm not going to say that. I'm just saying I think he probably would, do himself good too, just to say, you know what, I support somebody or, maybe a group or whatever, but maybe he should just bow out. because he's distracted. He was good last night. I think Rand, it's not his time. I think he's had a few hiccups along the road, though what he said last night was very good. I think Kasich probably is not going to make it. I would say you're left between maybe 5. Trump, for sure, my number 1 pick. Carson, definitely. I mean, the guy said things the other night about division, and they're dividers, and the media divides people, was just right on. I mean, this is the problem with our country. The liberals are dividers. Simple as that. That's what they're about. We want to get the country together. Even if you don't agree with everything and the programs and so forth, at least let's stop all this crap and all this despicable stuff that ain't going to work. I mean, and why are we cutting deals with Iran? And I mean, I just don't understand a lot of the progressive movement. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So let's get down to maybe, for the next debate, let's say Trump, Carson, Fiorina, Cruz for sure. He was excellent last night. And Rubio. Now, who else we got?
Well, I think some of those guys need to go, including Rand, including Christie, including, well, you've got Jeb, you forgot that.
Oh, that's right. I think he needs to go. He lost last night big time.
You know, I agree with you in the fact that he didn't accomplish last night what he was supposed to accomplish. But nevertheless, you know, when you have the ability to raise money like they do, you know, you have 2 ex-presidents in that family, and they have the ability to raise a lot of money. But having money, the longevity of money is essential to a presidential run in this day and time.
Not with one candidate up there, it isn't. And that's overwhelming to me. Trump.
What do you mean?
He doesn't need to raise money. He doesn't need to sell something.
No. We agreed that he's self-funded, and
everybody else on that stage, as good as they are, needs to raise money.
But for a presidential campaign nowadays, you need to either have in your pocket or raise a certain amount of money, close to $1 billion.
Yes, absolutely.
Otherwise, you're not gonna, last it out. And I think that Jeb Bush, fortunately or unfortunately, has that ability. He was very smart raising $103 million, in the onset, although he's gone through it like, Cracker Jacks. But
I understand he spent a lot of money, the PAC has in New Hampshire, with ads almost around the clock trying to get him to go up in the polls in New Hampshire, and he's not moving at all. He might be going down.
Well, evidently, he might have the money, but he certainly doesn't have the voters.
Right. He just doesn't, I don't know.
And he doesn't have the media either. But, I don't discount him as a player because of the ability of the Bush family to, to raise
he was the chosen one.
A heavy amount of money.
He was the chosen one by the powers to be, if that's what you want
let
to call him.
Let me tell you that for sure, the Republican establishment had already pre-chosen Jeb.
And how has that worked out for us?
And when we have been called to meetings, with the RNC people that are here in the state, and with the party, etc., it is evident, and the people that have come are all Jeb Bush supporters, and they struggle to, not look like it, but it's it's their background, it's their resumes, and it's what they're pitching for. And when you mention a candidate like Trump, they go berserk.
Oh, they do.
I mean, I've lived through that recently.
And why do they? Because Trump is out of their control.
Exactly.
Bush is in their control.
Exactly.
So that's the problem with Bush.
Yeah, that's the problem with
Bush,
and that's also a problem with Marco Rubio. Marco is completely establishment. I'm a big supporter of Marco for way back when he started, being Cuban, being from Florida, and thinking that he was and is so brilliant. But I never expected what he did with the Gang of Eight, his immigration stance, and his disregard for the rule of law is just too much to swallow. And I don't think, I may be wrong, but I don't think that he will have the ability to win the Republican primary.
Well, let's hope you're right, because let's hope the winner is Trump.
Well, I just don't think
we can't
that,
go wrong. We can't go wrong.
The thing is that whoever is the candidate needs to win the primary, and that means winning the vote of the Republican base. And the Republican base has not forgiven Marco Rubio for that backstabbing jolt, and even he himself has tried to backtrack on that open border ridiculousness that he started supporting and pushing. So I don't think that the base is going to forget that, at least not in this state. And you have to remember, I don't know if you are aware, here the Republican Party in our state is 90,000 voters under the Democrat registration. So we need the numbers. And one critical thing that any chance that I get, I tell my my Republican friends is that no matter what happens, we have to support whoever the candidate is. This country cannot afford another socialist in the White House.
Oh, absolutely not.
If it is to survive
And that's one
the
of the
way that it
downfalls
is.
of the Republican Party is they infight. And the liberals, the Democrats, don't do that. Look at the trash they'll support, anybody.
That is really, really critical. We need to create party loyalty. And I've been at different meetings for different candidates because I still haven't openly, made my choice, although I like Trump and Cruz, over the rest. But I haven't really made a decision. But I go to meet some of these candidates and to meetings, and I'm just flabbergasted when I talk to some of the Republicans, registered Republicans there, and they openly say, well, if so-and-so isn't chosen for the primary, I'm not voting.
Yeah, so who are you voting for then, Hillary?
How stupid are you? Exactly.
That's
how stupid can you be?
How idiotic can you be? But that's the loyalty that they have for whoever's that's hijacked them. And I think that's the problem with the parties. And both parties are crooked. They're criminal organizations.
Well, also, one problem that we've had more acute here in our state is, the problems that we've had with the infighting within the party segments. The Clark County Republican Party against the Nevada Republican Party, state, county, the governor with his mother of all tax hikes. And things of that nature have really affected it. So we've had a tremendous void in the Republican leadership while the Democratic Party has been organized and remained strong under Harry Reid's hand with fresh influxes of money. And they work year-round as opposed to the Republican Party that comes in, a few months prior to an election. So the rest of the year, what are you doing to educate those people, to turning people, to register people? Not much. And hopefully we don't pay the consequences, but it's a serious concern.
That's what made me so happy last night, to see the media finally exposed for what they are. And I put forth, and you may not have heard about my theory on cycles, where we seem to have an 8-year cycle of presidents and so forth. And my theory on that is that the liberal media, they will not vet anyone operating to be elected on the liberal side, like a Hillary, like an Obama, for a perfect example. He was not vetted. The media would not expose him for what he was. So you go through a cycle. Bush was decimated when he was president with a lot of false accusations, false this, false that, coming from the media. So the people, by the time Bush is over with, they've been lied to so much that they want to change, hope and change, whatever that is. So they vote in a liberal. Now the media closes down. They're off. They're taking a holiday now. They don't say anything because they're not going to vet Obama then either. They're not going to expose him for what he's done. So they take a holiday for 8 years. The lies stop. Now what happens is the people that voted in this guy start to see what he's doing, and they go, holy smokes, we don't want that. So then here you go. Now you go in a cycle. Radio Tribune. Someone's selling something. But so that's my cycle theory, DeDe, is that we go through these cycles because the media causes the cycles. They take a holiday when there's a liberal in there, and they go in attack mode when there's a conservative in there. And that's why we go through these cycles.
Well, one of the most outrageous things that I said that was mentioned lightly last night, but of course the moderators, didn't stop there to question or to comment, was, the decimation of General Petraeus by the Obama administration over not much, and yet the outrageous violations of the law by Hillary Clinton.
I don't know if
who
outrageous
have been
is a strong
proven,
enough word. We have to come up with a new one.
It's just unbelievable, the criminal actions, and they're giving her evidently a full pass. That is just tremendous. David Petraeus could have been one of the candidates right now for
Absolutely.
the Republican Party. And I can tell you, he would have done just miracles in uniting the party behind one candidate instead of having 17.
No, you're absolutely right. And there's no surprise about Hillary Clinton. She's always been who she is, or I've known that anyways. From the first second I had any, knowledge of her at all, I went, oh, man. And same thing with Bill Clinton. I mean, there's no surprises here. There's no surprises ever coming from the liberals for me because I just see their lies. I mean, they're just blatant. And the whole operation of that party and the media has always been very aware that they lie. They just distort everything because that's their agenda. And that's what we get fed down our throats. And I thank God last night, I hope the hell people were paying attention but you couldn't hide it. You couldn't hide it.
Well, I hope some of these candidates, like you said, that second tier altogether needs to pull out of the race, and they need to get behind one of the front runners. And there's going to be about 6 of them left, I guess. Trump, Carson, Rubio, Cruz, Bush, and anybody else there?
No, I think you're at 6 now because I had counted 5 and you reminded me of Bush, and I think that made 6.
Yeah, Trump, Cruz, Rubio, Carson, Bush. That's 5.
That's 5?
Yeah. Are we leaving someone out?
Forgetting? Trump, Carson, Rubio, Cruz. You got Cruz in there?
Oh, yeah.
You missed Cruz. So
No.
You had him in there?
No, I had him in there. One of my front runners.
We can't count today. I'm still confused over the liberal debate that I saw a week or 2 ago. I'm still confused over that one. I'm still waiting for Santa Claus to show up at my door with all those free gifts that they were all promising. Every single one of them in lockstep was promising things that they can't deliver. Did anyone notice that? And what were we promised last night on that stage? We talked about division, about dividing people like the liberals do. We talked about, let's talk about things that really matter, not divert attention to climate warming. Did that ever get even mentioned last night? I don't think so.
Yes,
and I mean,
it did.
It did?
Yes.
Wow, I missed that one, but I would just.
Yeah, they asked the question to
someone
Chris
asked
Christie.
the question. Oh.
Yeah, one of the moderators asked Christie.
What was his response? Is that what he wanted?
His response was generalized that all of the things that all of the different states are doing, windmill, renewable
solar
energy, solar,
right.
all of that was
but he said something about they did it in New Jersey, but they did it through private development.
Right.
Not the government. And that's a good point, because anything the government does, like Farina mentioned the other night, was anything the government touches doesn't work. They destroy everything. Name one thing that the government does well, really, when they start mingling in things they shouldn't be in. They should be in defense, a few other things. They kind of get their act together, building roads maybe, or the FAA maybe. Some things that they have a pretty good record with. Other things, they're miserable. Oh, terrible.
Oh, we forgot Fiorina.
Did we? How did we do that? You're the lady at the table. My goodness. Okay.
Yeah, well, I
Well,
personally, I
go for those
think
six. If
that she
you're
should
going to
step
keep Bush
out.
around for another cycle, but I predict it. I don't know. I think he's going to start having money problems. But he's the chosen one. I don't know.
I don't know that
Well,
he's
how
going to
much are
start
they gonna
having money
throw?
problems. It's evident that his management of the campaign, has been a problem, and it hasn't turned out the way that he planned for the amount of money that he's spending. The most incredible thing is, like Trump mentioned last night, the small amount of money that he has been spending, and the amount
He
of
hasn't had to.
the amount. Yeah, he spent
he got on the camera?
apparently less than $2 million, which is
He
just
walks from his
amazing.
penthouse to his limousine, and he does 10 interviews.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Well, this weekend we're going to have him hosting an SNL.
Yeah,
Saturday Night
yeah,
Live. So, and of course, you've had all of the Hispanics protesting. They forget that this is a free country. They forget that. La Raza forgets that, and the DNC forgets that. This is a free country, and that's a beautiful thing about this country. I think one of the best things that last night's debate showed was the main difference between the Republican and the Democrats, in that all of the questions that were posed by the moderators included a quote-unquote solution brought in by the government being involved in our business. And that in and of itself is the main difference between the Democrat
That's
point of view and the
that's their
Republican point of
solution
view.
for everything is bigger,
Exactly.
bigger
It's
government.
bigger and bigger
And that
government.
doesn't work, and that's what Fiorina was pointing out, that the government can't do anything.
No.
They can't.
No. Just growing that bureaucracy
Yeah.
is
You know
unbelievable. But they just don't understand that concept.
What did Reagan used to say? The best example of eternal life on this planet is a government program. 'Cause it'll
Yeah.
never die. It'll never go away. It's there
That's true.
forever.
That's true.
And they don't do anything right. They've taken our monetary system. They've destroyed it. They've destroyed. Look at the policy that they had not that long ago, where they would loan, and it was through Barney Frank and Chris Dodd and all these liberals wanted everybody to have a home in America. Wouldn't that?
Well,
be
that
a
was Bill
wonderful
Clinton.
utopia?
That was on the front page of the New York Times in 1999.
Right. Wouldn't
That
it be
was
a
Bill
wonderful-
Clinton that started that, and that's
Home
he
for everybody.
forced the banks and the loaning institutions to give loans to people that were not qualified.
And look the other way. Don't ask for any proof that
Exactly.
your income. And they were loaning out 125% loans to value.
Bill
so you
Clinton
could
did
have
that.
a $100,000 home. You could borrow 125 on it. You could take the 25 and could take a month-long vacation to Lima, Peru. I don't know what. But anyways, that 25,000 was a gift from your politicians. That, oh, by the way, you have to vote for them. And that's all that game was all about. And it destroyed the country.
It destroyed the country
Took us
completely.
back 10, 20
the
years.
real estate industry. I mean, the theft and it was beyond belief. But if you go back into the New York Times archives and go to 1999, you will see that was Bill Clinton. So
there you go, Clinton. That's the name Clinton.
Yep.
And that's what you saw on the stage Wednesday at Wynn, a week or two ago. Santa Claus, free this, free, everything free home, free Obama phone. It's sick. It doesn't work that way. I think Thatcher was the leader of the world, one of them, that said the liberalism and socialism works great till you run out of other people's money. Well,
that was Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
There's the cliff, folks. You're going to run out of other people's money.
Yeah, that's
It's
socialism.
simple. There's no question about it. So either we're going to pick up ourselves, we're going to learn how to create something and be a country of producers again, or we're going to be a country of losers, and we're going to wait till we get the message from our esteemed government that we can only withdraw $50 from our ATM machine on a daily basis because the government's keeping all the rest. That's all they're going to allow us to use. That's our allowance, folks. That's where we're going from our government. We can only spend $50 a day. That's the government's money. It's not your money. It's the government's money, and they're going to be nice and allow us to use that so that we can vote for them.
What is our call-in number again, Clark?
702-983-0711 if you'd like to join the conversation, 702-983-0711. We're in a town that has a lot of craps going on. You know, shoot the craps. So 0711, shoot the craps.
So what did you think about that fantasy football question?
I thought it was,
Can you believe
I thought it was a media
that?
question.
It's
Completely
just ridiculous.
out of another planet. But that's their thinking. That's their mentality.
Unbelievable.
And Bush to even respond to it, I thought was another losing proposition coming from him.
It was
He should have done like
unfortunate.
what Christie did. What? Did you ask me about fantasy football? Excuse me? I thought this was going to be about economics or something, this debate tonight. I would have, but that's me. And Monday morning quarterbacking always makes you seem smart.
Yes.
But,
So listen, what do you think about the World Series?
Well, I haven't followed it too much because my home team, where I was born and raised, is the Red Sox.
Oh, Boston.
So when they're not in, I'm on strike. That's the only time I get excited about the World Series.
Yeah, mine are the Marlins.
I watched a lot of the first game until I fell asleep 5 times while I was still watching it because I didn't think it was ever going to end.
Well,
And
second game was 14 innings.
Was it the second game?
Yep. 14 innings.
Sure, it was the second game or the first game?
No, I don't.
I think it was the first game. They're
the first
2-0.
game.
The first
yeah,
game went
yeah.
14.
You're right. You're
last
absolutely
night was
correct.
7-1 or something.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. So
yeah, I thought, wow, geez, I kept saying, well, I'd go to watch
5
some other
out of
show.
7 or 4 out of 7?
What
the winning score?
Team is 4-3.
4-3, right?
The first game.
4-3.
Right. No,
if they win,
5-3. It was tied 4-4. 5-4.
Yeah, it's 7 games,
5-4.
right?
Oh, the 7 games. The series will go 7
The
games.
series will go 7.
Best 4 out of 7.
Yeah, the 4 out of
right.
7. So
and they usually go
Kansas
7
City
games,
is
and that's because of economics.
And they've been playing in New York
Kansas
City,
City,
right?
Kansas
Oh,
City.
they've been playing in Kansas.
Now they moved to New York.
Oh, well, we'll see what happens
So
there.
what you got to do,
Mets,
the best bet, if you're here in Vegas, you can bet any amount of money you want because there's so many windows, you can just keep going window after window and bet. So here's a tip for you. I've been doing this for 40 years since I've been here. Is the World Series will always go 7 games. And why that is, you have to follow the money. It's always going to go 7 games. So remember that. So if you get in a situation where it's 1 win, 1 more game, and they're the winner, like 3-0, they'll never win that 4th game. Not till the other teams won at least 1 or 2. Because their park has to get some revenue, some dollars. So there's never been, I don't think, a World Series go
That's
4
a
games.
weird statement you've made.
Well, it's never gone just 4 games.
Well, it's never happened.
Since it never happened.
But
So-
it could happen.
Well, that when you do,
A
when
team
you follow
can come
my
in
directions
and
go,
do the 4
right, but it's
the
never
4
happened.
games in a row. Well, Kansas City is looking pretty good to do that.
But it won't happen.
Because they've been
How much you wanna
dominating.
bet?
Well, not so much because actually they had to go
So
to
what you
extra
do,
innings.
a deal that was always a loser, really. If you triple up a losing bet, you're going to lose, is what they say. So bet on New York to win a game. If you lose, bet on New York again to win a game. If you lose, the World Series is over, so you're out. But anyways, you're going to win one of those games. So you just have to bet enough that when you do win it, you got enough, and that was your goal, and you got your goal, and you wait till next year and do it again. I've done this for 30 years. I've played that game. Win every single year because I'm not greedy. I just want to bet what I want to win. If I don't win it, I triple up on the next bet. And I'll win that one. If I don't win that one, I'll triple up on the next one. Usually I win the first bet. Sometimes, maybe I've had a bet twice, but I don't think many times. I don't think I've ever had a bet 3 times.
But are you betting on these games?
I bet when the time's right. The time's not right yet because I don't have a feeling on either team.
Yeah.
Usually, if I was going to bet, I would bet on the favorite to win.
Well, I've always been
then I would triple up.
New York teams,
If I wanted to bet on the
supporter.
first game, I would bet on the favorite. If I lost that, I would bet on the next favorite. And if I lost that, I'd bet on the next favorite. Because I don't think the favorites ever lost 4 games in a row.
Yeah.
But you're gonna be tripling up a little bit more than you might want to.
How's football side doing? Well, the Pats are doing great. Tom Brady's doing fantastic.
They've had all winners, right? There's no losses.
Oh man, I've always thought that he's one of the best.
Then the deal that he went through with the deflate gate and all this stuff, and that judge said, "You're not going to sit out 4 games," and he said, "No, I'm not." And then he comes back and they're 6 or 7-0.
Yeah, there was no actual proof for that.
No,
there's circumstantial evidence, but there was no actual proof for any of that to take place.
You had a commissioner, I think, that was trying to regain some whatever he was trying to gain because he kind of blew a few previous decisions with the player that they gave a slap in the wrist for, and then later they found the tape where he knocked out his wife in the elevator. I mean, so he's had a couple of decisions that I think he was trying to show how tough he was, but he picked the wrong person and the wrong event and to make a point. I mean, that was ridiculous. The pressure of a football? Jesus, get real, There's some things in this world that are just going to be done. Some quarterbacks, I understand they like an overinflated ball. Well, so what? Why should that be a difference? I mean, you don't want to play with a wet noodle, but on the other hand, so when you're the quarterback, you put in whatever inflated ball you want. I don't know. I think we have too many regulations, too many rules that can't be enforced.
And everything.
That can't be enforced. Ridiculous. If you pass a law that can't be enforced, you're wasting your time. Like this fantasy football thing that came up at the debate the other night. I mean, why does our gaming commission? Well, I know why, but why do they have to say to these people that you have to have a gaming license to have monitor this fantasy football? Who does the gaming commission think they are? They want to make money. They want to, be in charge of everything in the world, but they're not in charge of everything in the world. All this fantasy leaders, whatever, go buy a drilling platform off the coast of Texas or off the coast of London, your own country, with computers and everything. There are drilling platforms out in the sea that are countries because they're packed full of computer systems. And they are their own countries. They do their own passports. They do everything. But everything about whatever entity is within those computer banks, they're their own country. Completely out of the control of any other sovereignty in the world.
What are your thoughts on online gaming?
I don't care about it. I don't do it. I think it's has a high possibility of fixing, just like online gambling does. You see these people playing poker online and they lose the last hand and they, well, what? Well, the other people you're playing against know what the cards are, dumbass. And there's been various cases where that's been proven, that there's inside information. Hello? Whenever there's money involved, there's going to be corruption. And I don't trust it. Do you trust how can you play blackjack against a computer? You think the computer?
No, I never do it myself.
No, I would never do it.
Having been in the gaming industry.
I know that some of the game, there's mechanics in this town. And if you think I'm crazy, call me crazy, but I'll prove you're wrong. But anyway, there's people in this town that control the cards. Whether you believe it or not, it doesn't matter because
that's always existed.
Yes, of course.
I mean, I was director of casino marketing.
Right.
And,
so if the games, the live
I worked
games,
12 years
if
with
the live
casinos.
games are fixable to the house's advantage, what would make a computerized game not fixable?
Oh,
it's impossible.
Definitely.
Jesus Christ, what are you talking about?
I think that the main problem that people like Sheldon Adelson and what have you have with that is the bigger ability for children to go online and to gamble, which is somewhat controlled in casino environments.
What's the bottom line of that? The child's going to get an education in life a little sooner than he would have otherwise, or where's the kid going to get the money? Isn't he going to go broke like everybody else and learn his lesson? What's the bottom line?
It's the addiction end of it that is the addiction end of it.
Well, so he's going to be addicted, and when he runs out of money, like Thatcher said, the problem with addiction is when you run out of money. As far as gambling
then
goes,
you turn into you're cured. You turn into crime, into getting credit cards and things of that nature.
I think
more readily.
Unless you're absolutely just the stupidest person ever going, and there's some of them out there, but if you hit yourself over with a hammer again and again, aren't you eventually going to say, this isn't working too well? So if you go to a life of crime to get money to gamble, and you never have any money, you never win, what the hell, don't you ever wake up?
Well, I really don't care personally about it because I see it as something that is inevitable. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. You know, with the way that technology rules our lives, it's just pretty much inevitable. And the fact of the matter is that 48 states in the United States have gambling.
And why do they have that? For revenue.
Yes, for revenue.
That's the only reason. And if you have, like Trump was talking about on stage, and my background's been in the oil business, and I know exactly what he's talking about. When you have a state like, I guess he's talking about New York, and the state right next to your borders are drilling oil wells, you know, however many feet the spacing requirements are there, they're sucking oil from your land. And if you don't pop a well right on your land in New York, right across from that well in Pennsylvania, you're losing money because they're sucking your oil out from underneath your land. And there's a thing called horizontal drilling now. Yes. You may have the well head over in Pennsylvania, but the bottom of that well could be in the middle of New York City and you don't know about it.
It doesn't cease to be illegal, though. It doesn't cease to be illegal, you know, doing the horizontal drilling into someone else's property.
Prove it.
But exactly.
If you don't have jurisdiction to prove it, how do you prove it? Pennsylvania's getting the money from New York, so they're not going to prove that the bottom of the hole's in New York. The person that has to prove it's in New York. How do they prove it if they can't get in the well in Pennsylvania? How do they prove the bottom of the well's in New York?
Yeah.
Can't do it. So I know exactly what he's talking about.
There's a new show on TV, Blood and Oil.
I've watched it. Don Johnson, and you know, because of I've lived that life. The reality starts to take a little stretch.
The North Dakota
and
South Dakota. What is it? North Dakota?
I think they're. I think
that has the big oil rush.
They did. I don't know how they're doing anymore because I think they've laid off jillions of people. Because when the price of oil is $40 a barrel, you can't frack. You can't make money.
Right.
Because it costs more. You need a price about $80 minimum to be able to make money fracking. That's just the way it is. And it's and why the price has gone below 80 is because the powers of the world or whatever it is that I've never really understood, even though I've been in the business. When I got in, I thought this is a necessity. This is a slam dunk. The price of oil always has to go up. I mean, it's a necessity. You can't live without it, right? So I'm covered. Jesus Christ.
Not if you ask Elon Musk.
Yeah, it's. I've never been able to figure out how it is so dependent upon. I don't know. To this day, I can't figure it out. I just can't figure it out. Why is it $40 a barrel? Because the Arabs are that strong that they're trying to put the U.S. businesses out of business is what's going on. Somebody is. There's something organization that I don't understand.
Well, you know, the way this president runs foreign relations, is anything a surprise?
No, I don't know. But anyways, the job creation was doing wonders in private enterprise in the quotas and places because of fracking. And now it's pretty much come to a grinding halt because of the price. If the price comes back, the oil will be there. Now, being an oil man myself, I always had a secret policy. I didn't want to expose it to anybody. If we're a country, aren't we smarter if we can buy oil cheaper from another country to use that oil up before we use our own?
Of course.
And I'm the oil guy saying that goes against me. You
Yeah.
know, but that always made sense to me. Why the
Yes.
hell would we use our own resources when we can buy Saudi Arabia's or someplace? Now the other side of that is we're making them rich.
Well, we used to
But-
buy Venezuelan oil
Yeah.
mainly, right, from Chavez.
Yeah.
And that's getting to be a disaster. Now, tell me what you think about Putin versus Obama and what's going on that
that's
front.
like Tyson versus a 3-year-old kid. There's just no comparison. I mean, you're
That's
absolutely
funny.
outclassed, if that's the word. I know Putin doesn't have any class, but you're outweighed.
It's just unbelievable how well he has gauged the weakness of this president and
can you
taken
not know?
advantage of it. And he's inserted himself into one of the biggest countries in the Middle East and all those oil fields and all of that Syria has that he evidently wants to control. I mean, nothing happened to him when...
Is this hard to figure out about Putin figuring out Obama? Do you remember that little off mic thing that was on mic? You tell Vladimir that when I get reelected, I'll be able to do more for Vladimir. So tell Vladimir that I'm, I mean, that's Obama. He's clueless. He doesn't know how to run a dog kennel. He's totally clueless.
Unbelievable.
And Putin is not a clueless man. He's a vicious killer.
He's a KBG guy.
Exactly.
I rest my
and
case.
he knows the way to control a country.
Yes.
And you do it through dictatorship. And when
That's
you're
right.
going against a country like this one, it doesn't even have a leader, and you have all the politics and all that crap to have to be worried about. The only one that could beat the Soviet Union was Reagan. He did it through economics, and he did it through putting the squeeze on Russia economically. That's why we won. We outpaced them on the Star Wars program, which the Russians had to keep up, and they went broke doing it. I guess. I mean, he got outsmarted. Khrushchev was Gorbachev or whoever. And I don't think the retirement of Gorbachev worked out too well because he probably, he lost that one, if you will.
And then we had Boris
Yeltsin. And
the alcoholic.
yeah, well, I think most of them are over there, and I don't know about Putin. I would imagine that he's in a vodka. They all seem to be. Any Russian I met over here, they run right to the vodka bottle. They're not here 5 seconds. They come off the plane. They're at the bar getting vodka. But nothing wrong with that, I guess. But that's just their lifestyle. But Putin.
Well, now it's without the caviar.
Now
Unfortunately.
let's ask the next question. Obama's gonzo, and now we have President Trump. What kind of life is Putin going to have with a President Trump?
Well, I think that would be very different.
Yeah, like night and day
yeah,
difference.
Night and day. Yeah, I don't
And I
think he's
think that
going to
Putin's
be
not a
liable
dumb
to
man.
mess around.
Yeah, I don't think Putin's a dumb man, and he would try to adapt to whatever the situation is in America. He will adapt to keep his power, whatever he can keep. Yeah. So he'll try to be congenial, whatever, but Trump's not going to fall for it unless Trump's going to put conditions, and Putin will have to meet them.
What do you think are Ted Cruz's chances of winning the Republican primary?
With Trump around, it's a situation where you can't answer any question, I don't think, because it's completely different than any other election ever. Prior to this, if you asked me in any other election, I could tell you who was going to win or who wasn't going to win, because I could see the way things go. With this Trump, he's a wild card. I think he should win. There's no doubt about it. But
I wish he would
everybody's
just
against
keep
him.
his mouth
Everybody's
shut.
against him.
Well, the establishment is clearly against
everybody
him.
is.
But the amazing thing is the amount of Democrats and independents that support him and like him. And that's really important in terms of general election. Now, which other Republican candidates would have that crossover appeal? I'm not so sure.
Well, let's say, not that I kind of believe in polls, because I think the poll here in Nevada, for example, was very accurate when it had Reid down 5% on election day with Engel and Reid won by 5%. I think the polls are very, very accurate. I think Reid stole that election. and he fixed the voting machines to do it.
Well, I don't go that far, but I do know that one of the things that people were not looking at that he did was to promise online gaming to the big casinos here. And the day of the election,
All the casinos were busing people to the
buses,
polls.
yeah, hundreds of buses
So when I say fixed,
of casino
I mean
employees
stuff like that I include in that fix.
were taken,
Right.
driven
I include
to
that in my
the
fix.
polls and
Exactly.
were told
He
that
stole
they
the
either
election.
voted for Harry Reid or they were going to be fired. Because I had
Yeah.
tons of
That's fixing the
employees, Hispanic employees, telling me that, and I witnessed that personally.
So
And
for the
no
most
one
part-
paid attention to that. I remember that I wrote about it and mentioned it on the air, but no one was paying attention to that. And then he kept his promise. He brought that up, and after he got elected, and said that he supported that, and that was the end of that. I guess he complied with his promise to, guys like Jim McMurrin and the MGM and.
So my theory is, let's watch the polls, and now you're going to be distorted in what the media says, of course. We know that from last night. But now everyone's projecting, oh, Trump's going to this, Trump's going to... But they've been wrong every single time.
Yeah, but so now we have something else to deal with, Clark, and we have Paul Ryan now as Speaker of the House. Mm-hmm. And there couldn't be a worse Republican
I disagree.
To head the House than Paul Ryan. What on earth could you possibly disagree on?
Well, you can't be any worse than John Boehner.
Well, I'm sorry to tell you, you're unfortunately going to watch it. This guy's ideology and this guy's support for open borders and his liaison with his twin, Luis Gutierrez, is beyond comprehension. But I hope you're right.
Because Congress is broken.
I hope you're right, but if something happens, he's in the second position.
You can't get anything fixed when you have the current conditions that you have in this country.
Yeah, but we went from
special interests,
from bad to worse, going from Boehner to
I don't think
Ryan.
you can go worse than Boehner.
I hope you're right.
If Boehner wasn't a
I hope
Democrat,
you're right.
I don't know who is.
I've looked very closely at Ryan's record, beliefs. Did you watch that PBS documentary, by the way, that was on this last weekend? And if you haven't, you should. And it's all there in black and white.
Ryan?
Yep.
I think
It wasn't just about Ryan. It was about the pro-immigration cartel, if you want to call it that. Luis Gutierrez, what's happening behind the scenes there, and one of the main roles was played by Paul Ryan. And
then they've been
those are
hijacked
facts.
because the whole purpose of getting illegals, let's call them illegals, is to get votes. And our electoral college is dictated by population, it's not by citizens. If California has X amount of heads to count, whether they're illegals or whatever they are, they're heads and they're counted. And that's why they have so many electoral votes.
Did you see the new voting law that Governor Brown put into effect?
I can only imagine.
You haven't seen that?
Oh, the one with the driver's license?
Yes.
Yeah, oh, sure.
That's going to possibly give
Could it be any more
illegals
blatant?
vote.
What is the purpose of this? Now you're saying Ryan's on that side of the hill, that he's trying to get these illegals.
I didn't say that.
They're not going to vote for this.
I did not say that. I said that he is on the side of amnesty, and he is on open borders.
That's votes for the liberals.
And yes, absolutely.
How could he be?
What do you mean, how could he be? Because he's been in collusion with Luis Gutierrez planning this for years.
Well, then the Republicans
look at the facts before you look at that.
Frauds.
I will email
They're
that
frauds.
to you.
Because that's the biggest issue about the Republicans, or conservatives, if you will, losing this country. It's about the country losing this country.
Well, that's exactly what I'm trying to tell you by the election of Paul Ryan to as Speaker of the House. That's a major setback for the Republican Party.
I hated being there, so maybe I haven't been paying attention.
No, you
To me,
definitely
anybody's
haven't.
better than him.
And look at the Freedom Caucus and Mike Mulvaney and his background, and be surprised.
Well, what about this McCarthy character?
Well,
I mean, he's from L.A.
McCarthy had a few issues. What do you mean from L.A.?
He's from L.A. Is he not a congressman from L.A.?
No.
McCarthy?
Kevin McCarthy?
Yeah.
I didn't know that he was a congressman from
he's
L.A.
Los Angeles congressman. That's where he's from. The height of Democratsville.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, anyways, this has been interesting, as it always is with DeDe. We always get into some interesting topics, and I think she keeps her finger on many, many things having to do with the truth of what goes on in this country, and she stays on top of things, so it's always a pleasure to have her with us.
Pleasure is all mine.
And been a very good day, I think, and I'm having a good day because I saw the massive destruction of the Main Street media is toast. They're done. Put a fork in them. It's over. You'll never hear from them again. Or Hillary's, I think she stepped down, didn't she?
Oh, in
Didn't
your
she,
dreams.
She copped a plea, I think, to a misdemeanor or
In
something?
your dreams.
Oh, well, I can dream, I guess.
Yes.
All right. Well, anyways, thank you, DeDe, for joining us.
Thank you,
welcome
Clark.
back anytime. Next time you're in the neighborhood, stop in. And we'll be back with you tomorrow with The Herd. This is Clark signing out. And you all have...